Hi everybody, my name is Jennifer Phillips. Thank you for watching. This is our first video that we're doing, so you'll have to bear with us as we're learning how to film this. But I want to talk to you today, just very briefly, about some of the information that is found in our Hebrew scriptures, and I'm also going to show you where some of this information is found in Christian scripture, because I want whoever is interested in studying further to understand that there is scriptural basis for the subject that we're going to be talking about, and that is the book of Zohar. And I want you to feel confident as you pursue your studies. So I want to bring your attention, first of all, to Daniel chapter 10. Daniel is considered a minor prophet in the Hebrew scriptures. He's not found in the same order of the Tanakh, the Hebrew scriptures, as it is found in the Christian scriptures. It is considered to be part of the writings. And so I am reading out of the JPS Hebrew English Tanakh. And we find at the very end of Daniel chapter 10 that he is having an encounter with an angel, an angelic being who is going to then take him into a vision of future events that are going to be coming upon the nation of Israel. And I want you to listen to the terminology that is used. The angel says, "However, I will tell you what is recorded in the book of truth." So we are seeing that there is a book. There is some knowledge that Daniel is going to be given. And we go on through chapter 11. He begins to have his vision. And we're going to come now to chapter 12. And the angel is telling Daniel that this time that is coming will be a time of trouble, the like of which has never been since the nation of Israel came into being. And he continues, "At that time your people will be rescued, all who are found inscribed in the book." And then it goes on and says, "And the knowledgeable will be radiant like the bright expanse of sky, and those who lead the many to righteousness will be like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, keep the words secret and seal the book until the time of the end. Many will range far and wide, and knowledge will increase." So I wanted to read that entire part to you. When we are reading, the knowledgeable will be radiant. Here I have the Hebrew, which is right next to the English, and I have highlighted the word radiant, and we see the word Zohar here, which the Zohar is called the Book of Radiance, and I wanted to show you where that is found in the Hebrew scripture. So this is not a term that is being made up by somebody else. This is in our scripture right here in the Hebrew, and the angel is telling Daniel that there is something that is going to need to be kept secret and concealed until a future time that is coming and a future generation. Now, the next thing I want to bring to your attention in Daniel chapter 12 is Daniel is going to see a special person. And this is verse 6. "One said to the man clothed in linen who was above the water, 'How long until the end of these awful things?'" So there is a special figure here. He is described as being clothed in linen. And I want to finish up in this chapter. The angel says, "Go, Daniel, for these words are secret and sealed to the time of the end." So you can see that there again is something that Daniel has been shown that is not to be given at the time, but is going to be sealed up and concealed until a future time. And that is what we are learning that the Zohar is. As you go into the preparation book that our little book study group has been studying, called Unlocking the Zohar by Rav Michael Lightman, you are going to hear this terminology, these quotes from scripture, that this is information that is being sealed up until a time when knowledge is increased and we are now ready to look into what this information is. Now I want to go to a major prophet in the Hebrew scriptures. This is Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel. And Ezekiel chapter 8, we're going to see again the prophet is having an angelic visitation and showing him a vision. As we continue into Ezekiel 9, the angel calls forward 6 supernatural beings with the appearance of men, and the scripture says that another was among them. Another man comes forward. This is verse 2. And among them was another clothed in linen. So we're seeing the same clothing that Daniel is seeing, the same person, with a writing case at his waist. This is repeated verse 3 and also verse 11 of Ezekiel chapter 9. Now, who is this person dressed in the special clothing with a writing case at his side? And I am telling you that this is Enoch, who is a biblical character found at the beginning of Genesis. We are not given very much information about him in the book of Genesis. We're told that he walked with God and he was taken. He was not anymore, for he was taken. And there may be a lot of speculation about what that means, but it does not look like Enoch died, but was actually taken up into heaven, much the same as the prophet Elijah that we will learn about later. So I found it interesting in my personal studies in looking at Christian scripture, the book of Jude, which is only 1 chapter, refers to Enoch. It says, as Enoch prophesied, and then it gives us these words, and I always wondered where was the basis for this prophecy of Enoch, since Genesis was the only mention in our scriptures, in Hebrew scripture, of Enoch. Where was this coming from? Well, there is a book of Enoch that was found with the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls includes every single book in the Hebrew scriptures except for the book of Esther, which has not been found yet. And among the Dead Sea Scrolls is the oldest manuscript of the book of Isaiah that we have in existence. And there were 11 manuscripts of the book of Enoch. Now, they're partial manuscripts. So we also know that there are things that have been altered. Scholars have gone over them. They've been translated into other languages. But definitely we see that Christian scripture in the book of Jude is quoting directly from this manuscript, from the book of Enoch. And the entire 2nd chapter of Enoch is quoted in the book of Jude. It starts out with, the Lord comes with 10,000s of his saints. And so we definitely have some evidence that the Christian scriptures, when they were being canonized and compiled, that there was some authority for the book of Enoch to have been translated here, or to have been included, sorry. So now I just want to go a little bit into the book of Enoch. You can order this on Amazon for yourself, or you can go online, and there are some published publications of Enoch that you can read for free. And you just have to go and do the work yourself. But I strongly recommend looking at the book of Enoch. There's a lot of information about cross-referencing the book of Genesis. There is a lot of information about the demonic or the evil spirits that exist on the earth. We will read this same language in the book of Job. And for Jewish people who are interested in more information about the scapegoat of Yom Kippur, Azazel, the book of Enoch goes into more detail about this mysterious figure in our Hebrew scripture. So going into the book of Enoch, I want to show you why he is the person that we see in Daniel and that we see in Ezekiel as being dressed in the linen and having the writing material at his side. So in the book of Enoch in chapter 1, he is blessing the elect, the righteous who are living in a time of trouble. And he is being shown, as Daniel, that there is information he is going to be given, that he is to pass down to his children and posterity from there, on and on and on, for a future time. Not the generation that he is living in, but for a future time. So this is an agreement with what is being said to Daniel and to Ezekiel. So we we go down a little bit into, a little further into Enoch, and we see in chapter 12 that he is spending time concealed with the angels who are showing him many of the ways that the heavens operate, laws of nature, many spiritual laws with the angels. And here in chapter 12, verse 4, Enoch writes, "The watchers called me Enoch the scribe." So we're seeing this reference to the writing, this mysterious person in Daniel and Ezekiel who has a writing utensils on his side. This is where we're seeing this with Enoch. And again in verse 5, the Lord said, "Enoch, scribe of righteousness." So this is something that he is being spoken of. There's a lot of information. We're going to see so many terms in the book of Enoch talking about the book of, we're going to get into some of Noah's writings, and you will see some references to the tree of life, which is mentioned again in the book of Revelation, which is Christian scripture. Revelation 22:2 is going to talk about the tree of life and how it is for the healing of the nations. And Enoch is going to talk about the tree of life and how the fruit is given to the righteousness, and it is a sweetness and a healing for them deep inside. Then we look at chapter 80, and it's written here, "O Enoch, look at the book which heaven has gradually dropped down, and reading that which is in it and understand every part of it." I want to bring your attention to heaven gradually dripping down, because this is going to be taking us into understanding what the Zohar is speaking about, that our world is made of light that is coming down from up above and gradually being manifested into the physical world where we are. So I want you to see the familiarize yourself with this language and see that it is here in other places. In reference to that, I go to the Christian scriptures in James. Every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father of lights, speaking of the Sephiroth that we're going to be learning about, in whom there is no shadow of turning. So we're seeing similar language. Now here we go into the second book, The Secrets of Enoch. This is chapter 22, verse 8, and Enoch is taken out of his earthly garments, and he is to put on garments of my glory. He is specially garbed as one of the angels, and this is something you're going to read further in the book of Ezekiel, that he is dressed like an angel. Also, we're going to see in verse 10, the angel who wrote the deeds of the Lord gives to Enoch a reed of quick writing. So this is where he's getting his writing utensils that you're going to see in the book of Ezekiel. And this is a little more information here. Finally, in chapter 33, we're reading that the Creator is saying, "I created all of the forces, and there is none that resists me, nor does not subject themselves to me. All labor for my sole rule." This is a concept we are going to be learning about in Hebrew, in the Hebrew language, the Hebrew scriptures, and definitely in the Zohar, that there is only God and that there is nothing that can oppose God. And we are going to start understanding the structure of the spiritual world and how it works, which is very important. If you're going to be a spiritual person, you need to understand how things are formed and how they work. And finally, in this last chapter here that I'm referencing, chapter 33, verse 9, Enoch is told to give the books of the handwriting and let them be distribute the books of your handwriting to your children and to your children's children, from generation to generation and from nation to nation. So I'm hoping that this has given you a little bit of scriptural foundation for your studies. And if you are a Christian watching this and you have been wondering if it was dangerous to delve into these other Jewish writings, or I know there is often a fear of looking at the Talmud or looking at the Zohar or looking at anything else, I want you to know that there are a lot of books referenced in our Hebrew scriptures that we do not have today the way that they're referenced here. Remember that our Bible was canonized by human beings, things, and that there are references made to other books and writings, and you will see them clearly as you begin to study. So I hope that you will study with excitement, and that you will be joining us in our reading of Unlocking the Zohar by Rabbi Michael Lightman, and then moving into the Zohar with us. And I hope that you have gotten something out of this little video. Have a great day. Thank you.